This is lesson 11.5. It's about analyzing data. In particular, we're going to learn how to calculate measures of central tendency, identify outliers, and make box and whiskers plots, also known as box plots. So let's get some definitions. Measures of central tendency. Central means center. Another word for center is middle. So mean, median, and mode are ways of measuring the middle. So to find the mean, we would add up all the values, and then we would divide by the number of values. The median is the middle number. Oh, the mean is also known as the average. The median is the middle number. So you put your numbers in order from smallest to the largest, and then you pick the one in the middle. If there are two numbers in the middle, you average them. The mode is the number that occurs the most, and so you just pick the number that occurs the most times. So here's some data for us to look at. We want to find the average number of trees per yard on a particular street. So this table shows the number of trees in the yard of each house on one street. What are the mean, median, and mode for the trees per yard? First thing you need to do is get familiar with the table here. What the table is showing us is that 1 yard has 3 trees. So if you were putting your numbers in order, you have 3 trees in 1 yard. Then we have 5 yards with 4 trees, so that means we have 4 trees 5 times. So we can keep going here and add up all the numbers, but there is an easier way. So we're looking for the mean here. So instead of listing them like this with the plus signs between, what we'll do is take the number of trees, multiply by the number of yards that have that number of trees, and then add to the next one. We have 4 trees in 5 yards. We have 5 trees in 7 yards. We have 6 trees in 4 yards. We have 7 trees in 1 yard, and we have 8 trees in 2 yards. So if we add this all up, this will tell us how many trees we have, and then we need to divide by how many yards there are. So if you add up this bottom row across here, you'll find that it comes out to 20 yards. So then we can divide that. The top of this thing comes out to 105. Dividing that by 20 gives us 5.25. So the average number of trees per yard is 5.25. The mean, as I told you before, is known as the average. And it's such a common statistic that it has its own symbol. It looks like this, and you pronounce it X bar. So the mean would be X bar equals 5.25. The median, as we know, is the middle number. In our table here, we can't just look at the top row of numbers and find the middle because each of the numbers in the top occurs more than once. But we do know we have 20 numbers total, so the middle of a list of 20 would be right between the 10th and the 11th value. So if we have 1 tree, 1 yard with only 3 trees, and then 5 yards with 4 trees, we're up to 6 yards so far. So we haven't made it to 10 yet. If we add 7 to that, then we would be up to 13. So in this region is where the middle is. Since all those values are 5s, then we know the median is going to be 5. And then, of course, the mode is the most occurring. So when you look at that list, what's the number of trees that is the most occurring in all of the yards? And again, 7 yards have 5 trees. That's the largest number of yards. with the same amount of trees. So our mode here is also 5. Each of these is a way of measuring the center. Okay, next. Some other ways of analyzing data. One is to calculate the 5-number summary. So if we have this list of values here, and we're not going to attach any meaning to it yet, in this list of values, a 5-number summary is when you find the minimum value, the maximum value, the median, those we all know, and then we'll also find the Q1 and the Q3. So in order to do this, we're going to put our numbers in order from smallest to largest. So we have 56, 59, 59 occurs twice, 65 2 times, 73, and 98. So there they are in order. The minimum value, of course, is 56. The maximum value, of course, is 98. In this list of numbers, the middle is right here, so that's the median. Okay, so then the Q1 and the Q3 are quartiles. A quartile is the number that divides your data set into quarters. So if I want the first quarter, that means I want the lowest 25% of the data. So since 65 is in the middle, what I'm looking for is the middle of this lower set of data. So the middle of the lower set is 59. That makes that Q1. The middle of the upper set of data is 73, so that makes that Q3. So the first quartile is the middle of the bottom half, and the third quartile is the middle of the top half. So that's a 5-number summary. What we do with the 5-number summary is we make a box plot out of it. To make a box plot, you have to start with a number line, and you have to number your number line with some sort of a consistent scale. So I'm going to start here at 50, and I'm going to count by tens. So there's my number line. Above the number line, you will put the dots for your 5-number summary. So 56, right about here, 59, 65, 73, and 98. You put dots for all these values up above the number line. And then the box plot is sometimes called a box and whiskers because the middle of this thing has a box on it with a line through the median. And then you put whiskers out to the max and the min. That is a box plot or a box and whiskers plot. And you would have to label this, but in this case, these numbers have no meaning, so we can't label it. Okay, next we want to calculate the range. The range is the maximum number minus the minimum number. So this would be 98 minus 56, which is 42. The range is a single number, just the one number, 42. The quartiles we already know are Q1 is 59 and Q3 is 73. You use the quartiles to find the inner quartile range. It's similar to a regular range, but instead of using the max minus the min, you use Q3 minus Q1. So in this case, 73 minus 59. And that equals 14. So the IQR is 14. What the range tells you is how far it is from one end of the box plot to the other. What the IQR, interquartile range, is sometimes called an IQR. What the IQR tells you is how big the box is. The quartiles, like I said before, divide your data set into quartiles, or data sets that represent 25% of the values. So between the minimum and Q1, that's 25% of the data. And then in this left side of the box, that's 25% of the data. And the right side of the box is another 25%, even though the two sides are not the same length. And this whisker on the right, that's 25% of the data. So the box represents the middle 50%. Okay, and that's where we're going to stop on this first video.